Hello and welcome to another week of the MPTV Coaches Show. Ryan Lindley, Eric Myers here, bringing you the most up-to-date coverage in Morton 709 sports. So kind of a big week last week at Potters Athletics. The temperature's cooled a little bit, letting everybody get out into the field to play a lot of games. Mid-Atlantic Conference stuff is starting to shape up a little bit. But let's start with the Potters, or the Hogs, who went northbound to Rochelle to bring home a pretty big victory.
Yeah, 27-26 victory. And again, 2-hour bus ride north to Rochelle. I mean, honestly, I think Rochelle was a really solid team, so it was a good victory. Sean at Buffington, Clutch Sports Athlete of the Week for his performance there. Brett Michael also had an interesting day statistically where he had a sack, he had an interception, he had a bunch of yards running the ball. It just kind of statistically, like he was filling in boxes, Sean was filling in boxes. So, I mean, I'd say the Hogs showed up for this one.
Well, not only that, we've been talking for a couple weeks now about this two-headed monster in the backfield, right? You got Buffington and Michael, both right there, completely different styles. And, you know, they run different, I mean, in every stretch of the imagination. So it's kind of this unique opportunity for the Hogs when that offensive line's up there rolling. You know, you get the full block and you get those guys out there. What do we have to look forward to, or what are our big takeaways coming out of our, our non-conference first two games here as we go into this Mid-Atlantic Conference this week, where we're going to play Canton?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the running game is the big takeaway, right? I mean, I think we knew that we had two solid running backs. I think it's been really cool to see the offensive line gel in front of them. I mean, your running backs are only as good as the guys in front of them, so those guys have been having a great season. So, really, really, really excited about where they could take this team. Mid-Illini is a conference which is always challenging, right? I mean, now open up against a Canton team that's 0-2 and has kind of struggled in their first two games against Eureka and Coal City, respectively. But you still have Metamora, Pekin, Dunlap, Washington. I mean, all those Mid-Illini powerhouses are still yet to be played. So, I mean, it'll be really interesting to see how the Mid-Illini season develops.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of storylines there to watch from a lot of different schools. Speaking of that Canton team, they've given up 90 points and only scored 6 in those two games. So hopefully, the Potters offense can come out and roll right there. That game's going to be in Canton. No idea what the streaming opportunities are for that. So if you check it out on the Facebook pages, Twitter, let us know and we can figure that one out. But moving on, obviously we're getting there, right? Football's going. But another one of our sports teams opened up this weekend. And but before we do that, I think we got sports highlights.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and watch a couple highlights. You mentioned the offense really clicking. Let's go ahead and watch a couple football highlights from that Rochelle game. You really will see this offense click. Sean and Buffington in there with a couple huge runs and a few solid defensive plays.
Week 2 football highlights. Potters and Rochelle. Ian Collins' defensive end position. Slants inside, occupies the tackle. Brett Michael comes from the outside linebacker, and gets this Potters sack. First touchdown for the Potters against Rochelle. Tunnel screen to Julian Alexander. He goes 64 yards. Great block by G.B. Kruzik out there to spring him for that touchdown. Now Potters attack on the ground game. Sean and Buffington will go 80 yards here for a touchdown, and you'll see Julian Alexander there in the Red Sox wearing number 17. He sprints down there, occupies the defender, gets Buffington the extra 10 yards to make that a touchdown. Here's Buffington again, runs into the line, dodges a tackler, and breaks out for another long touchdown run. And this time it's quarterback Jude Hart along with tackle Nick Steiter getting down there for the final blocks. Finally, the play that clinches the victory for the Potters. Brett Michael once again with an interception, and the Potters are winners 27-26.
Awesome. Well, great job there, Coach, putting that together. Looking forward to see the Hogs take on the Little Giants on Friday night over in Canton. So obviously, you can get out there, cheer them on. It's going to be a gorgeous night. I think it's going to be like 75 degrees. So it'll be a perfect night.
Very excited.
Yeah, not 100, not 90.
Yes.
But we had another team go out, and we just actually had the opportunity to sit down with Coach Zeller. We'll get there in a second. But boys cross country, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and girls.
Yeah, boys and girls both. I mean, really cool on the boys' side. The finish 3-4-5, and you'll hear the interview with Coach Zeller, and he talked about the idea of like trying to run as a team, run as a pack. But Jonas Withridge, Josh Weeks, Christian Harris finished 3-4-5, and that's enough to put the team in first place.
Yeah, how crazy is that? Finishing all right there. And if you look at their splits, they're all within like hundredths of a second of each other. They all crossed pretty much right there. They said it was kind of a little bit of fight to the finish. On the girls' side, had success as well. Finished second, led by Avery Breaker in 7th and Sophie Kruger in 11th. So we had that opportunity, like you just said, though. You sat down with Coach Zeller here this afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool to hear him talking. Coach Zeller, I think, is one of our most popular guests. And
easily one of our most popular.
Easily one of our most popular guests, and we hope that everyone will continue to tune in, and all the cross-country fans out there will appreciate it. We had a chance to talk with him once again about not just the Galesburg invite, but just really kind of looking ahead to the season as a whole and some of the things he's trying to accomplish this year. So let's go ahead and watch that interview. Welcome back here to our MPTV Coaches Show. Ryan Lindley here with our head cross-country coach, Joe Zeller. Coach, let's start with this. I mean, obviously, season just got started in terms of competition, but obviously you've been working out, I mean, getting the kids running, all summer and then leading up to it. So kind of talk about the preseason and then how Galesburg went on Saturday.
Sure, yeah. We, running's a year-round thing, and so after the track season is over, had 2 weeks off depending on the kid, and we got started right at the beginning of summer again. So a lot of our team has put in a lot of work and a lot of miles during that summer period, and then we've had now I think 4 weeks of official practices. And there's some guys and girls that you can really tell that the work is starting to pay off for them, which is exciting. So yeah, we had our first race at Galesburg. One of the things that we're really trying to focus on this year is kind of our group running, and so pretty much everyone was either paired up or in a group of maybe 3 or 4 that their goal was to focus on sticking with their teammates. And across the board, we just had a really good day because of that. Because just running's a tough thing, and trying to stay focused the entire time is a challenge, and especially in that first race. And I think it just went really well for us because everyone had someone with them to push them. And then it makes a big difference for them individually as well whenever you have teammates to run with. When you get to finish that race and you did it with someone, that just means a lot more to you. So yeah, we had a really great showing. The boys on the varsity side, they won that. The girls were second to Dunlap, who's going to be really good this year, but we weren't quite at 100%. We were still down one girl, and I think that we can give them a run for their money, the further in that we get. And then our boys, our fresh soft team, took second as well. So it was a great day.
Yeah, sounds like it. Talk to me about, this one thing that we've had you on before, we haven't really talked as much about. Talk to me about kind of your practice approach, because I think some people don't really understand kind of the process of cross-country practice. They think it's just everybody go run 4 miles every day. So kind of talk about how you build a practice.
Oh yeah, I send them out running, then I go home. It's really easy. But there's a lot of things, like with any sport, when you do that one thing a lot, it can lead to injuries. So, our focus isn't just running every day. There's a lot of other things that we do. We're focused on strength in a lot of ways just because that repetitive motion of running, if you just do that, some kids can handle it fine and a lot of them can't though. So, each day we'll start off obviously with some type of warm-up. They'll have a workout, which depends on the day, obviously, how close we are to a race and what we're trying to get out of it, whether it's something aerobic or something more speed-based or whatever it is. But then we'll end that day with core work, strength and mobility. We've been in the weight room. We were in the weight room a couple times each week over the summer. Now we're trying to get in there once or twice a week now. But also one of the things that we're really trying to focus on at practice is just kind of building that culture and that community. And so we've done things at different times as far as, having kids have conversations with each other. In fact, Monday of this week, which was, the first practice that we had after our first race, the first thing we did was sat down and had kids have a conversation with each other about how they thought their race went. I just think that's a super important thing. The more we can get them talking to each other, the better bonded and better team that we're going to have. Yeah,
I totally agree with that. Talk to me a little bit about kind of as you build that, what are you working toward this year? Obviously, there's some ultimate big goals out there. We mentioned, obviously, the guys and the girls both really successful in the first meet, but maybe what are some of the smaller goals maybe along the way as well?
Well, I don't know if I'd say it's a smaller goal, but it's not a competitive goal. I think our main focus this year is that community and team building aspect. I had the privilege of being able to sit down with each of our athletes individually these first 3 weeks of the school year and meet with them just about what their goals were, how they thought for returning runners, how they thought their time on the team's gone in the past, what they're looking forward to, all that kind of stuff. And pretty much every single one of them talked about that community aspect of the team and what we can do to improve that. And so I think that one thing that we're really working on this year, and I think it's something we've done well, but we're really focused on how can we create a community of runners that care about each other, and not just on race day, that care about each other outside of practice, do things with each other outside of practice, and just care for each other in general. And that's true for both the guys and the girls teams. I think it's a cross-country team we're focused on. We want to do well, for sure, but I think that's our main focus, that everyone can kind of really get behind that goal. As far as competitively goes, though, health is number one, right? We got to get to. We've got two good teams on both sides, and we just have to be able to make it to the end of the season healthy. But if we can get each runner to perform to their best and improve throughout the year, then the team stuff will come from that. I tell you that the boys are looking for their. It's going to sound bad, but I've lost track of how many conference titles in a row now. I mean, so win conference again. The girls, I think, are fortunate enough to have two very strong teams in our conference that we're going to go against between Washington and Dunlap. But I think we can give both of them a run for their money at that conference meet. But then, to obviously end it at the state meet and do something there is our end goal for the season competitively.
Awesome. And then last question, we'll get you out of here. As far as just like the season calendar goes, any particular meets or competitions that you kind of target as like, this is a really exciting one. We're going to be really excited to get to this.
Yeah, well, anytime we get a race at Detweiler, that's a good weekend for us. And so our first time that we're running at Detweiler is this weekend. It's the first to finish invite. They just sent out the box assignments for it, and our varsity races we get to run 10 athletes. There are 70 teams, and so those races, not everyone will fill out their 10, but cause somewhere between 600 and 700 athletes will be in those varsity races. And then the open races will be even bigger because they combine the 2A and 3A groups. So it's a lot of fun. You get to race against a lot of people, and it's a fast course. And so we'll be there this weekend, and then Peoria High later in the season. That's where we get a race conference at, and then state. So it's almost kind of like it's our home course. We love being there, and so those are the ones that we get really excited for.
Awesome. Well, thanks as always for talking about the teams with us, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks.
Well, I think it's pretty cool right there, talking about that team mentality, something that maybe you don't think about in an individual sport like cross country where one person can go out and run at their pace and do all that. So trying to finish together as a team is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, he's got the group to do it, right? I mean, this seems like a group that has built up over time. I mean, he mentioned on the girls' side a few new folks or girls that are back out that maybe took a year or two off or something like that. But just on the boys' side, a lot of returning runners who've had a lot of success, and the expectations are high. And the coach mentioned it off the air. He said, preseason ranked number 1, but basically told them, good job, and now forget it because you got to go earn it. But I think it just says a lot about what all those kids have done. Is a lot of them are they're all juniors and seniors now, I think, to get to this point.
So, best of luck to our our running teams as they go out there. Actually, it might be cool. I'm assuming we're going to interview Coach Zeller again in the spring for track, just like normal. Maybe we should go on a run with him and do it that way.
I don't know if I can keep up, but it might be worth a shot.
I don't think I can keep up either. But switch gears, indoor sports now that aren't affected too much by the weather. Let's go to volleyball. So volleyball defeated Canton the other night in 2 sets led by Tyler Manson's 13 assists. They're rolling right now. I think the record's 10-1. So
10-1. I mean, over the weekend, obviously won the Champaign Centennial tournament, right? So there's a couple other tournaments they're going to play coming up, but just they're playing at a high level, right? And I think that's the thing. And I think what Coach Williams is trying to instill is kind of similar to Coach Zeller, right? That idea of we're getting a lot of respect. People are telling us we're really good, but let's continue to earn it on the court.
Yeah, still early in the season, just starting there. The Mid-Atlantic Conference, as we've talked about in football, just like any other sport, I want to guess. Yeah. Mid-Atlantic Conference is tough, right? We got a lot of parity in this conference, and anybody can win on any given day, and that's kind of where we play those games. So, speaking of anybody winning, soccer. Boys soccer hosted their morning invite over the weekend, cruised to the championship game. They met a really tough West Aurora team where they fell in that championship game, but got any gleams of success there?
West Aurora is first of all, they're one of the most consistent competitors in that tournament. So there's a lot of familiarity between Morton and West Aurora. And over the years, I think it's probably gone both ways over the course of having hosted this tournament for 20-some odd years. I think Coach DeLong felt like that was a really solid match. Maybe could have pulled it out, but much respect to West Aurora for the win. But the good news is they rebounded with a 7-0 win over Metamora just on this past Tuesday.
Yeah, 2 wins versus conference. They played Canton last week, won 9-0 and 7-0. This week. So they're rolling. More games coming up. So obviously be checking out the Potters, Soccer Potters on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere else to figure out what their next games are, where they're going to be playing. So switching gears, going back outside, girls tennis, how are we rolling there?
2-0 in conference after shutting out Limestone 9-0. They'll play Richwoods this Thursday.
Tonight?
That's at home, right?
Yeah.
So if you're looking for something to do, head out to the Joel Stanfield complex and watch some tennis.
Yeah, I think those matches started like 3:30 or so it should be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, obviously the big one, just to kind of put it, is a couple weeks out, but just kind of put it on people's radars, right? Tennis night under the lights, September 21st at 7 p.m.
Yeah, so obviously the ladies would love to have as many people out there, supporting them on September 21st as possible. So if you can mark that on your calendar, that would be great. Tennis under the lights is always something that never disappoints out there at the Joel Stanfield Tennis Complex. So ladies golf, they competed in the Richwood Scramble at Newman Golf Course this Saturday. It looks like, Coach had a good picture out there where they got an eagle on the last hole, so that was a good way to end it right there. Tons of matches for those ladies as well.
And then let's talk girls swim and dive, right? I mean, again, they've been off to a really good start. We're hearing that they're record setting in their last meet. So, I mean, you got to feel pretty good about record setting.
For sure. So I think we set some sort of dive record, but if you have this information, if you could let us know, that'd be awesome. Or where we could find this information. We scour Facebook, we scour Twitter. We're sports nerds, so we're reading all this stuff, not just on our own sports teams, Northwestern and Texas. Northwestern had a rough weekend. It's been a rough start.
It's been a rough start.
But
4-7, lost to Rutgers. But with respect to the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, I was hoping for a little bit more.
It's Big Ten football. That's why my team's got it Saturday versus Alabama, so it's going to be a tough one. But to wrap this up, let's go with some newsworthy things that are happening out there. Excuse me.
I mean, very exciting news. It's so much you're choked up about it, obviously.
So much.
Let's start with the basketball side of it. We love basketball. It's
a little early, but it's good.
Early, but it's big
news,
right? So Morton returning to the Kevin Brown Memorial Tournament champions at Washington for the first time since 2007. So going to compete against some of the top teams in the nation over that Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, so it's going to be a big departure from the, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
The Potters are going to face some extremely talented competition over there, so that's going to be a positive. We'll have to bring some updates from there. And then switching gears back to the gridiron, one of our Potters alum.
Yeah, Seth Glatz got a start for Western Illinois on Saturday versus New Mexico State. Did it through the air. He had 3 catches for 73 yards. I saw a couple as highlights. There was one where he was running down the sideline and kind of did a little juke and spun around and got away from a defender. And my first thought was, that looks really familiar.
Yeah, and as a WIU alum, I was like, there's nothing else on at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. So I watched the game. It was really weird to see Seth, tuned in right there and almost had a couple touchdowns, just a little bit right there. So hats off to alumni Seth Glatz to get that start. So
yeah, I mean, it's just exciting, obviously, to see. And that might be a feature. We've talked about a couple things we want to do over the course of this year in the Coach's Show. One thing that we've thought about is get a little bit more in touch with those alums that are out there competing at the college level. And so, obviously really cool to see Seth having that success.
Yeah. So it's going to wrap us up for here this week. Obviously, lots of Potter sports action happening all over the place. Check out il818.com. Obviously, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Morton Potter TV. Make sure like, share, subscribe. As many of those possible helps us out every single day when you do those. And not to mention, as we get back home, as well as in the Potter Dome there, the NFHS Network and MPTV has all those games for you. So Ryan, anything last?
I mean, again, just obviously echo what Coach has said, making sure you're getting out there supporting those teams. And again, we appreciate all of you at home continuing to watch. If you ever want to get involved in MPTV, again, as we've said before, we're always looking for camera operators, people that want to do stuff behind the scenes, all of that. So don't be afraid to get in touch with us if you're interested at all.
Yeah, no training necessary. And if they let us do things, they'll definitely let you. So for Ryan Lindley, I'm Eric Myers. Until next week, thank you.